All right, so what I'm doing right now is I'm replacing my XPM foam with the Resilient foam right now. I bought a kit from them. Saw a couple other users do this in where they removed the harness from the old XPM foam and stuck this to it. So what I'm using on this harness is the Gorilla Glue gel. My harness foam was really hard to get off. The XPM foam, I actually put it in a huge pot and boiled it for a while, which was really nasty. But I ended up putting it in there for quite a while. I'd take like a butter knife to really kind of get it as much as I could off this surface. It is kind of tacky, or like it's almost felt feeling. And this harness is almost like a plastic with felt type texture on both sides. I really wish Bauer would sell these harnesses at least, or even their foam kits. I do not get why that's so easy to remove, yet they will not sell you a new foam kit. I know they want you to buy a new helmet, but yeah, it sucks to have to pay $1,000 to replace what's I would even still pay like $250 for a new foam kit. With the harness if Bauer wanted to sell it like that, but that's not the case. And thankfully, there's a company named Resilient Foam that this stuff looks great. I'm excited to try it out tonight. But what I ended up doing is you just scrape it all off, get it dry. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna use some Evaporust on these parts because I can't find a kit nearby. Even though I'm in Minnesota, the Bauer Experience store did not have any. They seemed really low on everything. I didn't see a single at 960, even the newest one in there. So no cages either, which kind of bothers me because I got a cage I need to replace as well. But we'll suffer through it. So what I ended up doing is I place these out flat, the foam, larger foam pieces, and you have to assume, like, you know that when you're gonna put this in, this is gonna bend a bit. So what I'm gonna do is kind of just glue down these anchor points. This is, I would consider, an anchor point, given that this is where one of the bolts are for this. I'm gonna put this piece in the helmet and try and kind of just get one dab of glue in here so that I can make sure that I'm not allowing this to move around, because what you want to make sure is that you're not just gluing it flat and then when you put it in all the glue cracks because it's bending. So I'm going to just get these anchor points glued in. I test mounted this yesterday and it seemed great. The back plate I have done. And the back plate's a little more flexible in where you glue because it just kind of pushes in and there's not, yeah. So that's all in and it looks great, feels good. So one thing I did to mention, I talked to the Resilient Foam guys and they said on this piece here for the XPM helmet, maybe cut a 1/4 inch off each side here to make it a little bit easier to place in there. If you want a full seal on the top of your mask there, it did not honestly seem that hard to place that in there. There's some kind of pushing on it, but this foam is very pliable. So I'm really excited to use it. I do like the fact that this seems like it's not going to absorb nearly as much sweat, given that this is a bit more of a glossy side in here. And even if that's the same kind of pour on or similar, it's still not gonna absorb nearly as much. But we'll see how that goes. I can give a review on that later. But figured I'd give someone a hint on what to do with these because it was a little rough kind of figuring out what to do when my foam was not coming off this harness. But I can tell you this is almost a plastic. You can boil it in a pot and it will loosen some of the glues up. This part here was one piece together before. The boiling it did separate it, but you know, like you sweat and like whatever pieces that were stuck on here left basically outlines to guide you where to glue it back. So again, I'm just using this Gorilla Glue gel. I'm probably going to need another, you might need 2 or 3 of these to get it all well stuck in there. But yeah, I definitely recommend a new hardware kit. If you've got a hardware kit, order that along with it, or order that when you order the foam, and then you can just replace all of it, because this is rough, but I don't anticipate having to replace the foam again. The cage I will, but these things stick in pretty well. I don't think they're not good, but they're not horrible. The chin pieces are pretty rough, but those are easier to get at. So yeah, maybe goalieparts.com or somewhere that sells these pieces. Do these when you're doing this, because you're going to want to probably use this foam for a while, and it seems really good. All right, nearly finished product here. The only thing I don't have done right now is these cheek pads, which I'll put in later after I get new hardware. I'm not going to mess around with chemicals trying to get rust off here. I can just buy the hardware and have it be done with. So on the top here, I did end up cutting this out. It was about a 1/4 inch, like Resilient recommended. This went in a little easier. It would have ended up like kind of being close like this, which isn't a big deal, but it did make it easier to install. And all you have to do is cut it with a scissors. Any decent scissors will be able to cut this, and that worked out really well. This whole crown piece, one thing I would recommend doing is what I did here, is I had the cheeks taped on or glued on both sides. Dial it in with using the holes in the harness here. You can kind of do that off. Well, this is off the helmet actually. Get those glued in place. Get that side glued in place, and get your crown portion sorted out. And then what I recommend doing is getting in all the things screwed in with your screws here. Get it in place, and then for the brow line, shove it in without gluing it yet. Make sure it's all even and set. And then what I ended up doing is pulling this back, peeling it back. Obviously, when it was unglued, it's glued now. But I peeled that back, put dots of the glue on the harness, and then pushed it down. Let that set. Then I peeled up this side. There's a part of the harness loops out here and back in. I peeled this back, put dots of glue on the harness portion, then pushed it on. Did the same on that side as well, and that has it really dialed in nicely on the brow line. It's really good. It's as good as any factory foam job I've seen. That's been great. The only things that you might see little marks like that. That's where my fingers got some glue on it. I accidentally touched it, but everything came in and fit in fantastically. This will be a little more snug when you put the back plate on, only because this foam, like there used to be cutouts here, I think, and it might have been a little bit lower here with the stock foam kit. But all you have to do is loosen it up a bit and it feels just fine. The harness worked out fantastic. This glues really well to it. Just use the dots. I only had to use one bottle of the glue. Don't go buying more. I thought I might need more, but I didn't. Everything worked out fantastic on this. I'm really excited to see how much less this absorbs sweat. I'm using it tonight, and I'm going to probably use it tomorrow. One of the things that I modified here as well, the chin harness was pretty shot, so all I've done is glued this directly to the frame. I left that undone just so I can get to these later. And I also cut this a bit so my mic'd up Instamic attachment can be where I need it to be. If it's over here, it starts bumping my chin. So overall, this is a fantastic piece of product. I'm pretty impressed how comfortable it feels when I put it on, and then how easily it kind of all fit together. It's cut from stock basically, so it's just like you bought new foam, but this stuff I'm hoping will work out even better. So I recommend it from that perspective, especially if you can get your harness off easy. If you can get your harness off easy, this job becomes massively easier. I had to do all that boiling and scraping with a butter knife to try and get it all cleaned up. But if you can get your harness separated from your old foam, no brainer. Fantastic, easy kit. If you can't, it's just a little bit more work. Boil it in a pot that you don't care too much about. I guess you can clean it off enough. I had to use some CLR to get some rust out of the rim, because these some of these bits would flake off rust. So that all worked out well. I'm excited to use it tonight. This Resilient product, I'm pretty confident that it's going to work out well, but we'll see. I'll keep you posted on that, but keep watching the channel. Hopefully this helps for someone. If you got a harness for a Bauer XMP, I think this opens the door to buying a used XMP shell. I should say this at the end. I keep kind of veering towards it. But if you can find a used XMP shell that, like, if the shell itself is foundationally strong, I would for sure buy it and get one of these kits, because it's like a fresh helmet. When you have a new thing of foam, get your helmet, go buy the frame, go buy the shell, get it painted, and then replace the foam. It's like you got a new unit. Like, this is still a great shell. I love the 960s, but it just sucks that they won't sell you foam, and it's great that Resilient will. So hopefully that helps someone. I'll have maybe a review up here soon. I might record my skate tomorrow and put in the Instamic, or maybe I'll just, if that becomes too troublesome, I'll just record it and kind of give a voiceover while I'm playing. But yeah, hopefully this helps someone, and check it out.